Captain Arlen Voss sat in the cockpit of his starship, the Aurora Hawk, staring at the holographic map floating in front of him. The galaxy was vast and dangerous, full of planets untouched by humans and alien civilizations that looked at humans with a mix of curiosity and suspicion. Arlen had spent most of his life among the stars, traveling from one mission to another, always relying on his courage and quick thinking to survive. Yet nothing in his experience had prepared him for what awaited on the derelict station near the planet Valdera Prime. The distress signal had reached his ship hours ago. It was faint but urgent. A research station, long abandoned by its operators, was under attack by unknown forces. The report was simple: high-value personnel in danger. Immediate extraction required. Most pilots would have ignored it, assuming it was a trap, but Arlen was not most pilots. Something deep inside told him this mission would matter, even if he didn't yet know why. As he approached the station, alarms blared in the cockpit. The outer hull of the station was damaged, fires burning in multiple sectors. Debris floated freely in zero gravity, spinning silently like deadly stars. Arlen's hands moved quickly, maneuvering the ship through the floating wreckage. Every second mattered. One wrong move and the station, or he, would be destroyed. He docked the ship with practiced precision and suited up for the operation. The corridors of the station were dark, lit only by flickering emergency lights. The air smelled of smoke and metal. The sound of distant explosions echoed through the halls. Arlen gripped his energy rifle tightly, moving forward with caution. He didn't have to wait long before he heard a faint cry for help. The voice was soft but full of fear. Arlen's heart raced, not just from the danger but from a sudden certainty. Someone important was trapped inside. He followed the sound, ducking under falling debris and leaping over cracked floors. Then he saw her. Princess Lyra of the Valdari was pinned under a large metal beam. Her uniform was torn and smoke curled around her face. Despite the chaos, there was a calm determination in her eyes. She tried to move, but the beam was heavy, far too heavy for her to lift. "Hold on!" Arlen shouted, straining to lift the beam with all his strength. He could feel his arms shaking, sweat running down his face. He was a human, and humans were not known for matching the physical strength of the Valdari, but his determination made him push harder. The beam shifted slightly and Lyra gave him a weak but hopeful smile. "Almost there," Arlen muttered, gritting his teeth. Finally, with one last push, the beam rolled off her. She stumbled to her feet, coughing from the smoke. "Are you human?" she asked, her voice trembling but filled with awe. "Yes," Arlen replied, offering her his hand. "But right now that doesn't matter. We need to get out of here." The path back to the ship was anything but easy. The station was collapsing around them. Sparks flew from broken circuits, fire spread rapidly along the walls, and the structure groaned as if it were alive. Arlen led the way, using every skill he had learned over years in space combat. He ducked under falling pipes, jumped over burning sections, and guided Lyra through narrow escape routes. Halfway through, they were ambushed by the attackers, mechanized drones programmed to eliminate anyone trying to escape. Arlen fired his rifle, taking down one drone after another, his movements quick and precise. Lyra, though terrified, helped by hacking into the station's terminal, temporarily disabling several drones. Together they moved like a team, human and alien united by necessity and courage. Finally, they reached the docking bay. Arlen could see the Aurora Hawk waiting, engines humming, ready to launch. But before they could reach it, the station shuddered violently. A massive section of the ceiling was collapsing, blocking their exit. "Jump," Arlen yelled. He grabbed Lyra and sprinted toward the last intact ramp. Debris fell around them, but they managed to leap into the airlock just as the station collapsed entirely behind them. The explosion shook the ship and alarms blared, but the cockpit's force field held. Lyra collapsed into a seat, breathing heavily. You saved my life," she whispered. Her voice was filled with gratitude and disbelief. Arlen shook his head. "We saved each other. I couldn't leave you behind." For the first time, Lyra looked at him not as a stranger, but as someone extraordinary. Humans were known across the galaxy, but most were cautious, careful, and often self-interested. Arlen was none of those things. He had risked everything for her without hesitation. The journey back to Valdera Prime was tense. Sensors showed enemy ships still pursuing them, and Arlen had to push the Aurora Hawk to its limits. His mind raced, thinking of strategies to evade the attackers. Using the planet's atmosphere as cover, he guided the ship through narrow canyons, dodging plasma fire. Lyra recovering from the ordeal, assisted by monitoring energy readings and helping to navigate the treacherous path. By the time they broke through the last enemy blockade and entered the protective orbit of the Valdari capital, both were exhausted but alive. The city below sparkled like a jewel, towers made of shimmering crystal, floating walkways and energy bridges that glowed in soft colors. It was a breathtaking sight, even in the chaos of war. As they descended, Lyra turned to Arlen. "You didn't have to risk yourself," she said softly. "Any other human might have, but you chose to help me." Arlen shrugged, trying to hide his emotions. Someone had to. It wasn't about choice. It was the right thing to do. The landing was smooth, though the dock's automated system scanned them immediately. Valdari guards, tall and imposing, approached with caution. They had heard of Arlen before. Humans were rare visitors, but they had not expected to see one inside the royal shuttle. Lyra stepped forward, standing proudly despite her injuries. "He saved my life," she said clearly. "I vouch for him. He is no threat." The guards hesitated, exchanging glances. One of them finally nodded and allowed them through. Arlen noticed subtle looks of suspicion, but also glimmers of admiration. Some Valdari clearly respected bravery, even in a human. In the palace's grand hall, the queen awaited. Tall, regal, with eyes that seemed to pierce through every lie and motive, she observed Arlen carefully. "So you are the human who risked everything for my daughter," she said, her voice calm but commanding. Arlen bowed slightly, showing respect. "Yes, Your Majesty. I did what I had to do." The queen studied him for a long moment. She was not easily impressed. Many had come before him claiming bravery or loyalty, but few had truly earned it. Yet there was something in Arlen, something undeniable. Courage, determination, a sense of honor rare even among Valdari. Lyra, recovering from the shock of her ordeal, approached. "Mother, he is brave." "He saved me. We owe him everything." The queen's expression softened slightly, but only slightly. "We shall see," she said. "Your actions are noted. But in the Valdari world, actions alone do not decide one's fate. You will remain under observation." Arlen nodded, understanding. Alien politics were delicate, and he was a human in a world where humans were outsiders. Yet he did not fear the challenge. His focus remained on one thing, ensuring Lyra's safety. The rest could wait. That night, as Arlen prepared his quarters in the palace, he reflected on the events. He had never imagined that one mission could change everything. One act of courage had not only saved a life, but had also brought him to the attention of the most powerful rulers in a galaxy far from Earth. The stakes were higher than he had ever faced, and the path ahead was uncertain, but Arlen Voss was not afraid. Not of enemies, not of politics, not even of the unknown. He had faced danger before, and he would face it again. For the alien heiress whose life he had saved, he would risk everything, even if the galaxy itself turned against him. And somewhere deep inside, he felt a spark of something new, something unexpected. Perhaps it was respect. Perhaps it was admiration. Or perhaps in a galaxy filled with uncertainty and danger, it was the first hint of a bond that could change both their worlds forever. The adventure had only begun. The Valdari Palace was unlike anything Arlen had ever seen. Its towers sparkled like crystals in the sunlight, and shimmering bridges connected each structure, floating gracefully above the city below. The air itself seemed to hum with energy, as if the palace had a life of its own. Despite the grandeur, Arlen remained alert. He had learned early in his career that beauty could hide danger, and alien politics were as unpredictable as the stars. Lyra walked beside him, her steps steady, despite the lingering pain from her injuries. She had insisted on accompanying him to the royal chambers, though Arlen wanted to shield her from potential dangers. The Valdari guards, tall and elegant, moved silently around them, their eyes sharp and unyielding. Humans were rare in the palace, and even more rare was one who had risked everything for a member of the royal family. As they entered the main hall, Arlen felt a subtle tension in the air. The hall was vast, with ceilings so high they seemed to touch the sky. Crystal chandeliers hung from above, casting soft, prismatic light across the polished floors. Alien dignitaries, officials, and guards filled the room, all watching the human carefully. Whispers spread quickly like ripples across water. Some were impressed. Others were suspicious. At the far end of the hall stood the queen. She was a vision of authority and wisdom, her posture perfect, her gaze sharp enough to pierce through walls. Her hair, silver and radiant, framed her face like a halo, and her robes flowed elegantly around her. Arlen had seen leaders before, but none commanded presence the way she did. "Captain Arlen Voss," the queen said, her voice calm but firm. "You have come far, yet you step into a world not your own. Know this. Your actions have drawn attention, but attention is not trust." Arlen bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, I understand. I only did what was right. I could not leave Princess Lyra behind." The queen's eyes softened just slightly as she studied him. "Courage is admirable, human, but it is only one of many virtues we value. Loyalty, wisdom, and respect for tradition weigh equally in our judgment. Your bravery has brought you here, but your place in this palace is not yet assured." Lyra stepped forward, ignoring protocol for a moment. "Mother, he saved me. He risked his life without hesitation. Isn't that worth recognition?" The queen nodded, though her expression remained unreadable. "Indeed, princess. But the halls of power are complex. A single act, no matter how heroic, does not guarantee safety, influence, or honor. Captain Voss, you will remain under observation. Your actions, your decisions, and your character will be tested." Arlen remained calm, though his mind raced. Observation could mean anything, from careful monitoring to dangerous tests. He reminded himself to stay alert, to rely on his training, and to respect the customs of a world not his own. The queen gestured, and a group of officials approached. They were tall, elegant, and severe, each dressed in flowing robes of deep colors that marked their rank. They questioned Arlen about his mission, his origins, and even his personal values. Every word he spoke was scrutinized. "Why did you risk your life?" one official asked, his voice cold. "Humans are known to be self-serving. Why should we believe your motives are pure?" Arlen met the official's gaze steadily. "I value life no matter the species. Leaving someone behind is not an option for me. If that makes me different from other humans, so be it." A murmur ran through the hall. Some Valdari looked impressed. Others frowned. The queen observed silently, her expression unreadable. After the initial questioning, the queen decided it was time for a more subtle test. "Captain Voss," she said, "courage alone does not define a hero. Wisdom and judgment matter as much. You will be assigned a task to demonstrate your understanding of strategy, ethics, and loyalty." Lyra's eyes lit up. "What kind of task?" she asked, eager for him to succeed. The queen's lips curved slightly, though not a full smile. "You will accompany a patrol through the lower districts of the city. A group of insurgents has been causing trouble, and the patrol requires leadership and quick decision-making. Observe, lead, and return safely. The outcome will be noted." Arlen nodded. It was a test, yes, but it also allowed him to prove himself in a real situation. "I will not fail, Your Majesty." The patrol was composed of Valdari soldiers and a few humans assigned to palace security. The streets below were bustling with activity, though tension lingered in the air. Shops and homes lined the crystal streets, and citizens moved gracefully, though many cast wary glances at the patrol. The insurgents were rumored to be hiding among civilians, making the mission delicate. Arlen quickly assessed the situation. He could see signs of recent conflict, broken market stalls, signs of hurried evacuations, and subtle traces of sabotage. Using a combination of human intuition and careful observation, he devised a plan to isolate the insurgents without harming innocents. "Divide into two groups," he instructed the patrol. "One will secure the perimeter, the other will move in carefully. We cannot risk civilians. Precision matters more than force." The Valdari soldiers followed his orders, some hesitant but impressed by his clear thinking. As they moved through the streets, Arlen noticed small details others might have missed. Footprints leading to hidden entrances, faint energy traces suggesting traps, and signs of panic among the insurgents. The confrontation came quickly. A small group of insurgents armed with energy weapons attempted to ambush the patrol from an alley. Arlen reacted instantly, using his position and cover to coordinate a counterattack. With precise commands, the patrol subdued the insurgents without unnecessary violence. The Queen's test had more than one layer. She wanted to see courage under fire, yes, but also ethics, intelligence, and the ability to act calmly under pressure. Arlen demonstrated all of these qualities. The insurgents were captured, civilians remained safe, and the patrol returned to the palace without incident. Back in the royal hall, the queen observed his return. "You have performed well, Captain Voss," she said, her voice carrying weight. "You acted with intelligence, courage, and respect for life. These are qualities we honor. Yet remember, one mission does not define a lifetime. The world you are in now is intricate, and every choice carries consequence." Arlen bowed again. "I understand, Your Majesty. I will continue to act with honor no matter the challenge." Lyra approached, her eyes shining with admiration. "Mother, he did everything perfectly. He truly is different. He deserves trust, don't you think?" The queen's expression softened slightly, though her gaze remained steady. "He has potential, but trust is earned over time and observation must continue. Captain Voss, you will remain at the palace for a period. You are free to move, but your actions will be noted." Arlen accepted the decree with humility. He understood that his journey had only begun. The royal court was filled with intrigue, politics, and unspoken rules. He would need to navigate them carefully if he hoped to protect Lyra and prove his worth. That evening, Arlen walked through the palace gardens with Lyra. The gardens floated above the city, filled with bioluminescent plants and softly glowing streams. The air smelled of fresh water and flowers, a stark contrast to the chaos of the day. "You're amazing," Lyra said quietly, "not just for saving me, but for everything today. You didn't just act with courage, you showed wisdom, patience, and respect. Humans are often underestimated, but you're different." Arlen smiled, a little embarrassed. "I'm just doing what I think is right. That's all any of us can do." Lyra laughed softly. "You're modest too." "I like that. But be careful. The queen's approval is only one step. The court has many eyes and not all of them are friendly." "I'll remember," Arlen said, looking out at the glowing city. "I didn't come here for glory or recognition. I came to protect you. Everything else is secondary." As they returned to the palace, Arlen couldn't shake the feeling that their lives were about to change dramatically. The queen's observation was not just a test, it was an invitation. And somewhere deep inside, he knew that human courage and determination might just alter the course of Valdari history. The night ended quietly, but the tension of the royal court lingered. Arlen lay awake in his quarters, listening to the soft hum of the palace energy systems. He knew the challenges ahead would be far greater than today's mission. Politics, tradition, and the shadow of suspicion hung over him. Yet he felt a strange confidence. He had faced impossible odds before and survived. Here, in a world far from Earth, he could do the same, and he would. The story of a human among aliens had only just begun, and Arlen Voss was determined to leave his mark, not just as a hero, but as a symbol of courage, wisdom, and honor in a galaxy that needed both more than ever. The next morning, Arlen woke to the soft glow of Valdari sunlight filtering through his quarters. The palace was quiet, yet he could feel the weight of expectation pressing on him. Today he would meet the queen privately. This was no ordinary audience. It would decide how the Valdari would see him, and whether he would earn their trust or remain merely a human outsider. Lyra arrived before he could gather his thoughts. Her expression was calm but serious. "Are you ready?" she asked, brushing back a strand of silver hair. The queen does not give attention lightly. Every word, every gesture, every thought will be noticed. Arlen nodded. "I've faced worse odds, Lyra. I'll do my best." She smiled faintly. "That is why you are already different. Let's go." The queen's chamber was vast and elegant, filled with intricate carvings and glowing crystals. Arlen stepped inside, feeling the energy of the room wrap around him. The queen sat upon a raised platform, her posture perfect, her eyes calm yet piercing. Her advisors and guards were present, though they remained silent, waiting to see how the human would comport himself. "Captain Voss," the queen said, her voice smooth like flowing water, yet sharp as a blade. "You have saved my daughter's life, and for that, you are to be acknowledged. However, bravery alone does not earn favor. You must prove yourself worthy of a bond with the Valdari royal family." Arlen bowed. "I understand, Your Majesty. I am ready to face any challenge you set." The queen's eyes narrowed slightly, not with anger, but with scrutiny. "We value courage, yes, but we also value judgment, wisdom, and respect for our traditions. You are a human, an outsider. Tell me, why should I trust you?" Arlen thought carefully before answering. "Because I value life. Because I honor those who cannot protect themselves. Because my actions are guided by what is right, not by fear or personal gain. I may be human, but I do not compromise on principles. The queen regarded him in silence as if weighing the words against some unseen scale. After a moment, she spoke again. Words are easy. Actions speak louder. You will face a series of tests, subtle in nature. Some will challenge your courage, others your judgment, and some will test your loyalty. Lyra stepped forward, her eyes bright with quiet hope. Mother, he has already shown loyalty. He saved me without hesitation. Isn't that proof enough? The queen's expression softened just slightly. It is a beginning, princess. But in the Valdari world, beginnings are fragile. Trust and loyalty are earned through experience, not mere deeds. The first test came quickly. The queen instructed Arlen to accompany a delegation to the lower districts of the city, where a mysterious disturbance had been reported. The task was simple on paper: assess the situation, protect the civilians, and ensure peace. But Arlen sensed a hidden complexity. The queen wanted to see how he handled pressure, how he made decisions, and whether he respected life above politics. The streets below were vibrant yet tense, filled with citizens going about their lives, oblivious to the shadowy danger nearby. Arlen observed carefully, noting subtle signs, unusual energy readings, traces of sabotage, and hurried movements from individuals who might be part of a hidden insurgent group. Divide into 2 teams, Arlen instructed the patrol. One secures the perimeter, the other moves in quietly. We avoid confrontation unless absolutely necessary. Protect civilians first. The Valdari soldiers looked at him skeptically. Humans were known for their boldness, sometimes recklessness, but his calm confidence inspired trust. Slowly they followed his plan, moving with precision through the streets. It was not long before a small group of insurgents tried to ambush the patrol. Arlen reacted immediately, positioning himself to protect civilians while coordinating the soldiers to neutralize the threat. He relied not just on strength, but on strategy, observation, and quick decision-making. Within moments, the insurgents were subdued without anyone being seriously harmed. The patrol returned to the palace, and the queen received them with measured attention. You acted with intelligence and caution, she said. Many would have rushed in blindly, causing destruction. You have shown that your bravery is guided by wisdom. Arlen nodded. I believe that every life has value. It is not enough to act boldly. One must act wisely. The queen leaned forward slightly. Indeed. Yet bravery and wisdom alone do not guarantee favor or survival. The Valdari tradition is clear. One who saves a royal life earns the right to a bond of duty and honor. This bond, if accepted, places the individual in a position of trust and responsibility, directly linked to the crown. Arlen felt a mix of curiosity and unease. A bond? What exactly did that entail? He had risked his life for Lyra, yes, but he had not expected this. The queen continued. You have saved my daughter. By tradition, you are claimed for your bravery. This claim is not a punishment nor a reward. It is an acknowledgement of your courage, loyalty, and potential to serve the crown. Acceptance is voluntary, yet refusal carries consequences. You will be observed, tested, and your actions judged before any final decision is made. Arlen took a deep breath. I understand, Your Majesty. I respect your traditions and your judgment. I will act honorably, whatever the outcome. The queen's gaze softened slightly, a subtle acknowledgement of his sincerity. Good. You have the qualities we value most. Yet be aware, the court is full of eyes, and not all of them are friendly. Some will test you, some will challenge you, and some may even seek to use your presence for their own gain. Lyra placed a gentle hand on Arlen's arm. Do not worry about them. I believe in you. The queen observed the interaction silently, noting the bond forming between the human and her daughter. It was a bond built on trust, courage, and mutual respect. Yet she also knew that the court could be ruthless. Arlen's every action would be scrutinized, and every mistake could be used against him. Over the next few days, Arlen faced subtle tests throughout the palace. He was observed during diplomatic meetings, asked to advise on security protocols, and even questioned about moral dilemmas. Each challenge was designed to probe his character, to see if he could navigate a world so different from his own without losing his integrity. He learned quickly. The Valdari valued reasoning, ethics, and adaptability. Bravery alone was not enough. Understanding, patience, and humility were equally important. Arlen found himself relying not just on human ingenuity, but on observation, empathy, and careful thought. During one exercise, he was asked to mediate a dispute between two influential Valdari houses. Each side had a strong argument, and the potential for conflict was high. Arlen listened carefully, asking questions and weighing the consequences of each decision. Finally, he proposed a solution that satisfied both parties while maintaining fairness and respect for tradition. The queen, observing from a distance, noted his skill in diplomacy, a rare quality even among the Valdari elite. Lyra watched him closely throughout these days. She admired not just his courage, but his patience, intelligence, and unwavering respect for others. She saw how he navigated challenges that would have overwhelmed most humans, and she began to feel a deeper sense of trust, perhaps even admiration, for the man who had risked everything to save her life. Arlen, for his part, began to understand the complexity of Valdari society. He realized that being brave was not enough. Survival and respect required careful thought, strategy, and understanding of alien customs. He was learning quickly, and his actions began to earn quiet approval from the court. Yet tension remained. Some advisors whispered behind his back, questioning his motives. Could a human truly be trusted? Was his bravery genuine or a clever manipulation? Arlen knew that even one misstep could undermine all he had achieved. He had to remain vigilant, thoughtful, and always guided by honor. By the end of the week, the queen called him to a private audience once more. "Captain Voss," she said, her voice calm but commanding, "you have demonstrated courage, wisdom, and integrity. You have earned the respect of your peers and proven your loyalty. The next step is to decide whether you accept the bond of honor, which by tradition follows the act of saving a royal life." Arlen bowed deeply. "Your Majesty, I am honored by your words. I have risked my life to save Princess Lyra, and I will continue to act with honor and integrity. I am willing to accept the bond if it is your wish, and if it serves the well-being of your people and the princess." The queen studied him carefully, her eyes sharp and assessing. "Your words are sincere, and your actions have proven them true. The choice, however, is not solely mine. Acceptance of the bond requires understanding, willingness, and respect for our traditions. Should you accept, your life will be tied to the Valdari crown, your actions under constant observation and your loyalty tested repeatedly." Arlen straightened, his mind clear. "I understand, Your Majesty. I accept these terms. My duty is to protect life and uphold honor, wherever it may lead." The queen's lips curved in a subtle, approving smile. "Very well, Captain Voss, your acceptance is noted. The bond will be formalized in due time. For now, continue to prove yourself. Your journey is only beginning." Lyra stepped forward, relief and admiration shining in her eyes. "I knew you would rise to the challenge," she said softly. Arlen smiled, feeling a quiet pride. The road ahead would be difficult, but he was ready. He had faced impossible odds before and survived. In this alien world, he would do the same, guided by courage. The quiet of the Valdari palace was shattered by blaring alarms. Red lights flashed, and the air thrummed with the vibrations of incoming ships. Arlen was already awake, his instincts alert. He had been expecting challenges, but a full-scale attack was something he had to respond to immediately. Lyra appeared at the door, her expression a mixture of fear and determination. "They're here. Enemy ships are trying to breach the city defenses." Arlen grabbed his rifle and moved swiftly. "We need to secure the palace and protect the queen. Get the guards ready. I'll coordinate with the defense systems." The palace defenders were valiant but outnumbered. Alien warships hovered above, firing energy beams that cut through the city's defenses. Arlen took control of a tactical console, using human ingenuity to reroute power, shield critical areas, and organize countermeasures. "Focus on the bridges," he commanded. "Prevent them from reaching the palace gates. Don't engage until necessary. Protect civilians." Lyra helped relay instructions, guiding personnel to reinforce weak points. The humans and Valdari soldiers worked as one team under Arlen's calm, clear leadership. His courage and quick decisions inspired confidence. Even the skeptical advisors now watched him with admiration. The first wave of attackers breached the outer perimeter. Arlen moved quickly, coordinating defenders to trap them in narrow corridors where the palace's superior knowledge of terrain gave them an advantage. Energy beams cut through the air, and the smell of scorched metal filled the palace halls. In the chaos, Arlen spotted an enemy unit approaching the queen's private chambers. Without hesitation, he ran to intercept. He dodged fire, rolled under obstacles, and moved with precision through the labyrinthine palace corridors. Lyra followed, supporting him wherever she could. The encounter was intense. Arlen used a combination of strategy and quick reflexes to neutralize the attackers, disarming them and using minimal force to avoid unnecessary casualties. The Queen, observing from a secure balcony, watched as the human acted decisively, protecting her and her daughter. After the first wave was defeated, Arlen assessed the situation. "They're regrouping. We need a trap, somewhere they can't retreat." He led a group of Valdari soldiers to the Grand Atrium, where narrow pathways and strong defensive positions could give them the advantage. Using his human creativity, he set up energy barriers and diversionary tactics. The enemy returned unaware of the trap. Arlen's plan worked perfectly. The attackers were funneled into a confined space where defenders had the upper hand. Within minutes, the remaining enemies were subdued. Casualties were minimal, thanks to Arlen's careful planning and leadership. The palace was safe, but the aftermath left a lasting impression. Advisors who had doubted him approached cautiously, offering respect where skepticism had once been. Citizens and soldiers alike saw a human standing among the Valdari, not as a stranger but as a hero. Lyra approached Arlen, her eyes wide with admiration. You saved them all, even the Queen." Arlen shook his head, smiling faintly. "We all did it together, but the important part is that everyone is safe." The Queen called for a private audience. She observed him silently for a moment before speaking. "Captain Voss, your actions today have proven your courage, wisdom, and loyalty. You have not only protected my daughter but also the palace and its people. Few humans could have acted so decisively and honorably under such pressure." Arlen bowed. "Your Majesty, I only did what I had to do. My duty is to protect life no matter the cost." The Queen's expression softened. "And that is why your bond with my daughter is now more than ceremonial. It is built on trust, courage, and integrity. You have earned a place in our history, Captain Voss. But remember, your actions will continue to be observed. The bond you accepted carries responsibility, and every choice you make will shape the future." Lyra held his hand, gratitude and admiration shining in her eyes. "You truly are remarkable," she whispered. Arlen felt a quiet pride but remained humble. "I will continue to act with honor. That is all any of us can do." As the palace began to recover, Arlen and Lyra walked through the gardens. The soft glow of bioluminescent plants reflected their relief. The battle had been intense, but it had also strengthened the bond between them. They understood each other now, not just as human and alien, but as allies united by courage and respect. In the coming days, Arlen would face more challenges, more tests of loyalty and intelligence. But after the battle, the palace and its people recognized his value. The human who had risked everything had earned a place among the Valdari. And somewhere deep inside, Arlen realized that this was only the beginning. Weeks passed since the palace attack. Arlen had proven his courage, wisdom, and loyalty repeatedly. The Queen observed him carefully, noting his every action. Lyra, now fully recovered, spent much of her time with him, learning about human ways and sharing Valdari traditions. Their bond grew stronger, grounded in mutual respect and admiration. The day of the formal ceremony arrived. The palace was adorned with shimmering lights, floating banners, and flowing energy streams. Dignitaries from across the galaxy had gathered to witness the formalization of the bond between Arlen and the royal family. Citizens lined the streets outside, eager to see the human who had saved their princess. Arlen dressed in ceremonial attire provided by the palace. The robes were elegant, flowing, and unlike anything he had worn before. He felt a mixture of pride and humility. Today would solidify his place in Valdari history, but it was also a personal test, a confirmation that he could uphold the responsibilities he had accepted. Lyra stood beside him, radiant in her ceremonial dress. Her eyes held a mixture of joy, admiration, and a hint of nervous anticipation. Together they approached the Queen, who observed them with a calm but commanding presence. "Captain Voss," the Queen said, her voice echoing through the hall, "you have risked your life for my daughter, acted with wisdom and honor, and proven your loyalty time and again. Today you accept the bond that places your life in service to the crown, and in recognition of your courage, you are now officially tied to the Valdari royal family." Arlen bowed deeply. I accept your majesty. I pledge to act with honor, to uphold the values of this house and to protect life and the people of Valdara, as I have promised. The queen nodded, and the ceremony began. A flowing ritual of light and energy surrounded them, symbolizing the bond between human and Valdari, courage and duty. The attendants chanted softly and the air thrummed with a gentle, vibrant energy. Every eye in the hall watched as Arlen completed the ritual, demonstrating commitment, humility, and respect. When the ceremony concluded, Lyra smiled brightly. "It's official," she whispered. "You belong here with us." Arlen looked out at the crowd, then at Lyra, and felt a quiet, profound sense of purpose. He had risked everything, navigated alien customs, and faced challenges far greater than any he had known before. And now he was recognized not just as a hero, but as a symbol of unity between humans and Valdari. Over the following weeks, Arlen adapted to his new responsibilities. He worked alongside Valdari leaders, advising on security, strategy, and diplomacy. His human perspective, combined with courage and integrity, brought new solutions to old problems. The palace began to see him not as an outsider, but as a trusted ally, capable of bridging two worlds. Lyra remained by his side, guiding him through traditions and customs and learning from his human insights. Together, they formed a partnership based on mutual respect, trust, and shared purpose. Their bond inspired both humans and Valdari, showing that courage, loyalty, and honor could transcend species and worlds. The queen observed all of this quietly. She saw the human had truly earned his place. He had not only saved her daughter, but also shown the qualities that Valdari most valued: courage, wisdom, integrity, and respect for life. In time, she realized he would become a lasting symbol of unity between humans and Valdari. One evening, Arlen and Lyra stood together on a balcony overlooking the glowing city. Energy streams reflected like rivers of light, and the distant stars twinkled in the clear sky above. "Do you ever miss Earth?" Lyra asked, curious. Arlen smiled faintly. "Sometimes, but I've learned that home isn't just a planet. It's the people you protect, the values you uphold, and the courage you share. I feel at home here with you, and with the Valdari who have welcomed me." Lyra nodded, her eyes shining. "I feel the same. We've faced danger, uncertainty, and challenges together, and through it all, we've learned to trust and rely on each other." Arlen looked out over the city, a sense of calm determination settling over him. The galaxy was still vast, dangerous, and full of unknowns, but he knew one thing: courage, honor, and loyalty could change the course of worlds. And he was ready to face whatever came next alongside Lyra, as protector, ally, and friend. In that moment, a new chapter began, not just for Arlen, but for humans and Valdari alike. A chapter where bravery, intelligence, and integrity could create bonds stronger than fear, suspicion, or difference. A chapter that promised hope, unity, and the enduring power of courage. The human who had risked everything had not only survived, he had earned his place among the stars, in the hearts of the Valdari, and in the pages of history. And for Arlen Voss, the adventure had only just begun.